So although we've studied, we've practiced, but then we need this also to help us to do well. We need this also to help us to do well. Okay. So now you see that the whole question is set. The whole question is set for 100%. Okay. Sorry, the whole question is set for 100%. So we have to know per the question numbers written here, which questions we can be able to solve. So like I did say, one of the things we should know is that, for example, per this format, for question 1A of the exam question, it might not be exactly question 1A, it could be any of them. It is going to take 5 marks. Are we good? So the question 1A, which areas would they set the question on when it comes to question 1A, which will be the 5 marks? The questions will be set on all these areas for the 5 marks, and all these are theories, right? All these are theories. So if you are studying with your S&D notes, if you are reading the theories should pattern after the areas given in the format. So sometimes you'll be like, why ICA doesn't give areas? They do give areas. The areas are in the format. So you know that question 1A, or we are expecting that question 1A will be about 5 marks. What we ought to do is, when I pick the S&D notes, I'll be searching for the role and importance of financial management in the private and public sector. Then I'll read on this. Financial management decisions, I'll go and read on this. Financial and non-financial objectives of profit-making and non-profit-making organizations, I'll go and read on this, right? Impact of the economic environment, I'll go and read on this. The role of the impact of the regulatory environment. So all these are regulatory environments. All these are regulatory environments. So these are regulatory environments. It is, right? You go and read on all of them from the notes, because if any question should come in from question 1A for the 5 marks, it would come from one or two of these areas. The agency problem and its management, I'll read on it. Corporate governance and social responsibility, CSR. What's the name? Identify the ethical implications, right, of an organization's financial management policies and decisions and recognize ethical dilemmas in a given situation. So you should know, like now that we have about a month to the exam, you would read, if you're reading question 5, question 1E, you search for these areas from the notes and read on them, because the question 1A question, which may be 5 marks or which will be 5 marks, would definitely come from this question 1. So, for example, I print the format. When I print the format at the beginning of the diet, then when it's a month to the exam, I begin to read. Mostly I buy the ICA manual. I begin to read the manual in accordance with the areas given. So when I read the first one in the manual, I check. I've read this. I'll be checking them. So where I know this, I state the types of something, and it's quite complex. It's quite a lot. I write the acronyms against them. Guys, I believe you are getting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when we finish, I'll bring somebody should send last diet question to the group. When you forward it, we'll go and search for question 1, right? You realize that, or you notice that the question 1, where it was 5 marks, that question came from one of these areas. So it's format. If you know the format, you study according to the format, you can estimate that, oh, I remember when I was writing the FM, after all my analysis, I gave myself that I will score roughly, I gave myself 60. Please hold on. Hello, Sameh. Okay, Pacho, my main fro back. Why? Me meeting. Maybe I'm a fro. Okay. I gave myself roughly 60 marks. How did I get the 60 marks? I was weighting myself. So question one, I said 5 and I said, like, okay, I may not be able to write. I don't know which question will be. So let me give myself 3 here. Then question 1B. This is the very place I didn't like. As a matter of fact, still I don't like is question 1B, right? Where you are going to calculate the WACC, different forms of WACC, cost of equity, different forms. So this 15, I gave myself 8 or 7, because I know if this question I will not be able to answer it so well. That's how I did. You grade yourself per the question, right? And you grade. And question 1A, the 5 marks is theories. It's not calculation. So this one, just take the S and D notes and read on these areas in the notes. And when you read, you check it. You know that you've covered all, because the question can emerge from any of the 5 or any of those areas in question 1A for the 5 marks. How is described there with the examples. So if the question should ask you to state the role and impact of the Bank of Ghana in something, you then you remember something. So assuming I'm reading on all these 3, but I still don't know what to do, or I'm not getting the concepts right, I'll write some small key points for each of the institutions, which can remind me of something about the Bank of Ghana, which can remind me something about SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, which can remind me of something about the National Pension Regulatory Authority, which can remind me about something about National Insurance Commission. That's for the 5 marks. Now let's go to question, the second part of the question. You know that every question is 20 marks. So for question 1 is 5 and 15. The 15 is on financing decisions. Identify and select sources of finance and make and apply financial decisions. Explain the types of business funds. So this is a theory. You have to be able to select all the theories are short-term and long-term types, theory. Principles of Islamic finance and theory. Describe financial markets, theory. Types of financial markets, types of intermediation, stock market, efficient market hypothesis theory, types of financial instrument theory, emerging financial market and event theories. So from here to the end, they are all theories. They can set the questions from there. Then I'm using red. We have calculate cost of capital, equity preference shares, debt, calculate weighted average cost of capital, calculate capital structure decisions. That's capital structure decisions. Explain the traditional and Miller and Modigliani views. So from here, right, they are all calculations. This explain thing could be theory, or you can even use calculation. So if you are approaching the exam, and we know that all these from the top to the bottom, they can set theory on it, and I've read them. Any question to emerge from that, be able to write something. And the calculation part 2, how do we know it? The lecturer, all the questions the lecturer solved with the class, they are all past questions. So even if I'm not able to visit the bank of past questions on the website, but then I'm able to resolve the same questions the lecturer has solved with us, I'm able to resolve them on my own, make little or no mistakes, and obtain the same solution or closer to the same solution as the lecturer. It tells me that I'm really ready, that any question to come from cost of capital, I should be able to do it. Guys, are we okay? Are we okay?
Yes, please.
That is how you have to go with it, right? For example, you pick cost of capital. Cost of capital, if the solutions in the past questions are proving or posing difficulty or challenging, I can go by the examples the lecturer has solved with me. Then when I'm solving it, I'll look at his approach. I'll read the question. I always like reading the requirements first. Why? Because finance is theory and formula work. So if it is, for example, look at this. Calculate the cost of capital, equity. So equity, let me write something here. So look at something. It's formula work. So if I'm calculating the cost of equity, there are 3 ways I can find the equity. I have here the dividend model. I have the dividend growth model. I have the CAPM. These are all forms of equity. The CAPM is the one with the KE equals to the risk factor plus beta into brackets market risk premium. Then the dividend growth model is the KE is equal to the DO into brackets 1 plus G all over PO plus G. then the dm is the k is equal to do plus d. So let me give an example. If the question is on cost of capital, and I read the whatever the case study is, I go to the requirement. The requirement says calculate the cost of equity or the cost of capital. That's the equity, right? When immediately I read cost of equity, what must come to my mind is any of these three. Any of these three is the cost of equity, because these three formulas, one of them will be what the question will give me the information to compute. So maybe it might not be dividend growth because it's very easy to compute, but it could be one of these two. So right before I even go in to read the case study, I have these two formulas written down on the question paper. Then when I go and read the case study, if the question is talking about risk, let's say risk-free or T-bills, bonds, there is a beta. Quickly, I know that it's going for CAPM, because this very question doesn't have anything to do with beta. The beta is rather with CAPM. So as the financial management is a formula word, I'll quickly write my formula down first because CAPM, risk-free plus beta into bracket RM minus RF, which is the risk premium. Then I'll be searching for the values to compute this. If I plug in the values, I've calculated my KE, cost of equity, for the CAPM. And maybe there might be subsequent questions where I'll need to factor in the formula. So, because these are calculation, we must know the formulas. We must know the formulas. So, what if it is calculated the weighted average cost of capital? So, here is it. If it's a WACC, I know that if the business is only taking money from only equity, which is shares, I will either go for DM, DGM, or CAPM. What if the business wants to take money from equity and debts only? What singular cost of capital do I need to represent the two sources? It's a combination of sources, equity and debt. I'll use the WACC. So because I'll use the WACC, I know that WACC will only come in when the business is sourced for finance through two different sources of finance. So if I'm to read a question, and the question says I should calculate the cost of equity, right? So WACC can also be a cost of equity when there are multiple sources. I will quickly go to the question. I realize that the question the business is taking some raising finances through equity, also through debt. Quickly, I know the cost of equity they want to calculate is the WACC because it's a combination of two sources. So if we know that these areas are calculation here, they are all calculation. Let us go and pick the same questions that the lecturer has solved with us. Follow the way he solved it. Solve it. I always practice like 3 times. The first time is I'll try to solve the question, follow referring to or referencing the lecturer solution because it's a revision, so I have to capture it. The second attempt, I'll try to solve it on my own without referencing without frequently referencing the lecturer's solution, right? Without frequently referencing the lecture solution. But when I'm stuck on the way, as I'm solving something and I'm stuck on the way, I'll go and make reference to the lecture solution. Then the third one, I don't refer to the lecture solution at all. I solve all on my own. Then, after solving all independently, I go and check my solution with the lecture solution. Then I'll mark myself and I'll see where I made a mistake. That's all. Because maybe as I'm trying to solve it, the lecturer's approach was okay, but I feel if I should go by this different approach, I'll get the solution. Maybe, and I'll try that approach and I'll get the solution. Okay. So for each example, I practice like 3 times before I can get it very well and learn the approach. And the approach is that how was this word? How was the wording placed? If I see any wording like this how I should go with it, right? If I see any wording like this how I have to approach it. That is the more reason I have to solve different past questions because the questions are framed differently. So if I'm able to know how the word is coined, then it tells me if I should find this similar narration in any exam, this is how I have to approach it. All right. So I will take an example of last year's past question, last year's diet. Then we will see how we go with it. Now we've seen that from here, they are all theories. And here, they are all calculations. So if you want to try the calculations, pick the same examples the lecturer solved and solve them. That's all. Try to solve them and solve them to the extent that you can solve them on your own. You're able to solve them independently. That means you really understand the concept. That's why you're able to solve them. But if you still cannot solve them on your own, then there's an issue. It means that in exams, hardly will you be able to solve it. There any question on any of these areas. So another one is advanced management on dividend decisions theory. Describe the various sources theory. Discuss the main sources theory. Describe the various public sector theory. Objectives, benefit, challenge of public theory. All these are theory. So the only calculation is here. Here, here, here. Only this area. These guys here have the calculation here. So if I'm working on question 1B, which is the 15 marks, I should have read all these theory guys and those at the back or those behind. And these calculation topics, I'll solve questions, follow the lecturers' past questions and solve them because maybe the past question, I cannot comprehend them properly the way the examiner solved it. But with the lecturer solution on these areas, I'm okay because he has explained us. I was following the live session. I understood people were asking questions. I understood. So try to solve, if there are about 6, 7 questions on only the question 1B, why cost of equity, preferences and debt, capital structure, Modigliani, the theories, this and this and this. Solve all of them. Solve all of them. That will give you the confidence. And there's no way when the exams comes, you are not to score, what's the name? 100%. You're not to score 8. It's only a 50 mark, 50% pass. So by even the ability to even state a formula, the Kaplan formula, this formula, it is even a tick, right? So you have to master the formulas. And financial management is theories and calculation and formula based work. So the theory part you score, and here the whole question 1B, the whole 15 marks, the entire 15 marks. The calculation part is only, or the computation part is only this side in the rectangle. All the others are theories. So where can we get the theories? You have to pick the slides, the NCD notes, and read them. And when you're reading them, don't read them anything. Just be searching for the information. Like this. What is short-term and long-term types of funds and methods of raising them? So in a pick the note, you are searching for this information to read on it. The second one, principles of Islamic financing. Islamic financing, you pick the notes, you are searching for Islamic finance. I just want to read on Islamic finance. That's all. And you read, you learn the principles, you read on the types of products, read on the benefits and the limitations. That's all. So if the question should come from the B, you are good to go. The same applies to all of them. If you do this, you can then rate yourself that probably from the 15 marks, the way this calculation is and they are a whole lot, let me give myself 10 here. So here at the 5, I'm giving myself 3. If any question should come here, the way I'll answer it, I'm giving myself 3. And the B, let me give myself 10 is a lot. Let me go moderate. 9. Let me give myself 9 out of 15. So already you have 12 out of the 50 marks. You need 50 to pass. So only from question 1, your aim is you get a 12 because you know how you've read on the areas. And I'm being confident because I'm following the areas. I'm following the areas. And the theories, I've marked them, I've marked the computation. So question 1, out of the 20, I'm getting 12 out of 20. So 8 marks, I may not be able to score. And I'll continue to read because for you to get the 12 means that you have to do a lot of work. All right, that is this part. Please, if you have the last year's diet, kindly send it to the group. I want to share it here. Question 2. Apply financial investment. And before I conclude, ICA every 5 years, they revise their format. So you see, this one is for, let me zoom in a bit. This is for 2024 to 2029. This is for 5 years. So after the 5 years, they'll revise their format. They'll change the format, right? Maybe they can instead of the B here making financial decisions, they can make financial decisions 10 and bring 5. This A be added to the financial, make it 5, so make it 15. They can change the format, but the content will be the same. However, they will change it. So every 5. So reason why if we begin a particular diet or a particular syllabus for the 5 years, we should do our best to finish within the 5 years. Otherwise, when the next syllabus comes, they will change everything, and the teaching format will also change. So someone cannot apply what he was studying some years back to this new syllabus. He has to adopt to the new syllabus, right? Now let's see question 2. question 2. So question 2 is 20 marks straight. What is there? Apply financial management appraisal techniques to assist the process of what? Evaluating capital projects. So let's see the theoretical parts in the question. Revenue versus capital expenditure theory. Importance of theory. The concept of theory. Cash flows, benefits, risk, identification, and risk attitude. Okay, we can say it's theory. Funding option, financial theory. Investment and financial plan. Can talk theory. Now, so all these are theories. Apply the investments. I'm using red. Apply investment appraisal techniques to capital structure decision makings. This is calculation, 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 calculation. This is time value of money, right? And here, and here. So all this. Describe cash flow, single amount at this calculation, calculation, calculation. So look at from here down. Okay, these are all computation. So if you want to get these 20, the T are all theories. Read on them. If you pick the S&D slides, if you don't have the S&D slides, use AI chat. You just copy highlight the word, paste it in chat, explain in detail, right? The importance of non-financial factors in capital expenditure decision making. You put it in chat. Then you make your notes. I get it. But for the computation aspects, just go and pick the S&D notes. How the lecturer solved the question under each of them, practice it and understand the concepts. When it's payback period, I don't need discount factor, but because this one is a non-discounted cash flow method, then I have payback NPV. These guys are all discounted cash flow method. In other words, whenever I'm dealing with discounted payback period, I have to use the discount factor. Whenever I'm doing the NPV, I have to use the discount factor. When I'm using the accounting rate of return, there is no discount factor. So I'm not kill myself when I'm finding accounting rate of return. When I'm using the internal rate of return is a discounted factor. So I'll need a discount factor. So all these are techniques you develop, right? So that when you are moving on in answering the question, you'll be very quick with it. Okay, so let's continue. So as I said, the computation pattern at question 2, which was about from the top to the bottom. Last night, I remember there was a question on amortization. They asked a question on amortization. And they asked a question on, I've forgotten what it was. They asked a question from one of these areas. But there was a question on amortization. So they took it from time value of money. And they took another question. And I think probably there were some theories also. I get it. So for the calculation part, that one should even be the easiest one to do because the lecturer has solved different examples on these, even if it is only 2 or 1 examples each. Re-practice them to the extent that you can solve them on your own. But before you attempt solving them, first read the requirement. Thanks to the one who has shared the question, the past questions to the group. I've seen the notification. I'll go for it. Make sure you've read the past question. You've read the requirements. So we are ending on 2, right? Don't forget the areas you've mentioned under question 1 and question 2. We want to see whether the last diet questions on FM, did they pick the question 1 from the areas in the format or they didn't? If they did, then it means that this diet for the next 5 years, or now we are in 2026, we have 3 years before the 2029 will elapse. Meaning that for the next 3 years, all the questions that are going to solve on FM, they will come from the areas in the format. And if you are to pick last 2 dates, that is July 2025 FM, you will see the same thing following the format. In up to last 2 years, that's November 2024, you would see that they all pattern after the format. They will never ask any question outside the format. So the format is that poor. Only that it is a lot of work because you're going to read a lot. That's the issue. And we don't know which areas the questions are emerging from. So we study everything. Okay, let me go and bring the document. How it goes. So the one who shared it, thanks. Let me go and bring it. So please watch. You remember what we said in question 1, right? Okay. So look at question 1. Question 1. You see the 5 marks. These are the 5 marks they talked about. And these 2 are the 15 marks. The B. This was the A, which was the 1 mark. The bank, whatever decision, whatever the bank and the other decisions. And this is the 15 marks for the financing decisions. So let's read. If I'm to begin this question now, before when we get to the exam, so we know we are given, assuming the time starts at 9, we are asked to sit from at 8:30. By 8:45, the question papers are shared. We all have our question papers, and we'll be asked to review it before the start of work at 9 a.m. Within the from the 9:45 to the 9, which is the 15 minutes for review, all that we have to do is to go and read the requirement. Only requirement. Don't go and read the whole case study. Why should you read the requirement? Is to enable you to ascertain which questions you can solve first and best, and which one will follow. Because if you are giving 15 marks and you go and start reading A to here, oh, well, why are you doing this? You are wasting our time. So what I'll do if the 15 this document is presented to me is I'll start from here. I'll not read the whole of it. I don't need it. Within the 15, I don't need this. Calculate the cost of each financing option. The cost. And I've told you FR is calculation, FM is formula work, if it's calculation. So this cost means there must be a formula to get the cost. Explain 3 macroeconomic factors that should be considered in financing decision. Okay, that's it. So that's the B, 15 marks here. Then the B, I'll not read all this. Within the 15 minutes, I'll not read this. Explain 4 benefit companies in Ghana derived from ESG complaints. Right? That is environmental, social, and governance complaints. That's the 5 marks, part of the first part. I'll not read this. Then I'll move on to the next. So within the 15 marks, 15 minutes, I'll not read the whole of this. I'll not read the whole of this. I'll rather come and read the requirement here. Assume the projects are divisible. Recommend a portfolio project that should be funded in the company. Assume the projects are indivisible. Recommend whatever. So the requirements, if you can do it, is here. Okay, it's right down there. Let's go to the next one. We come to question 3. All these, don't read it. Within the 15, don't read it. Come and read the requirement. There's a requirement. Because if you can do that, you can solve or attempt the question, there's a requirement. Petrensa plans to take out 6,000 for 6 months starting in June to fund the working capital. Okay, in each of the following situations, justify whether you would use future options to hedge against requests or against the risk. So you read the 3. The B, I'll not read all these. I'll come and read the requirement here. Advise management on 2 international trade payment methods they may adopt for the of the company's international sales. 5 marks. Here, illustrate 4 ways by which a current funds affects financial management decision. It's also theory. This is also theory. This is also theory. Are you getting it? So in all of these question 3, the entire question is 20 marks. They are all theories. So if you've been able to read your theories very well, you should be able to write something here. Okay, let's go to the next one. So you could see, now I can even determine what I'll solve without even reading the whole question. Question 4. I'll come and read here. All these people, I don't need them now. Estimate the value of that farmer using the price earnings ratio. This formula work. You should know the formula. Calculate the current cost of equity. So I'll try solving this. Then we'll see how we go about it. I want to demonstrate something. Calculate the current cost of equity of that farmer limited. Estimate the value of the company using the dividend valuation model. Calculate the current weighted average cost of capital of that farmer limited after proposed increase in debt financing and comment. So I've not even read what is here. Even if I read the requirement, I have a lot of formulas running through my head already. So I can even say I'll start from question 1 because this one I think is easier. This one, of all that I've seen so far, this one is quite easier. So I'll go with this. The last one, question 5. So we will say requirement, come and read here. Calculate the net present costs. So it's an MP cost of each of the 5 marks. Then the next one, question 5. I'll come and read on the requirements here. Calculate the impact of the proposed credit policy change, whatever. Okay, then this one. So you're able to read all the requirements. It tells you which ones you have to begin with first. Now, let's go and check whether all that we are saying pattern after the format they give. The format they give, they said one was 5 marks, which was the introduction to finance and whatever. And this is exactly where they pick the question from the 5 marks. Question 1, A. In 2025, Obake Energy Limited, whatever, I'm now going to solve the question, right? Green bond, 12%, development, whatever, public-private partnership, corporate tax, calculate the cost of each finance. So the costs. So if it is a 12-year issue, now I'm talking about costs and it's finances, so it's cost of capital. So which cost of capital will go for the green bond, right? It's 12-year issue, coupon rate is a bond. So it means this one is a cost of debt, which is bond formula. That's what I'll go with. Developer financing loan. So this is what? Another cost of debt, but it's a cost of loan. Private partnership, government guarantees 40% debt, thereby reducing lenders' required return. Corporate taxes, interest cost is tax deductible. So if I should know my formulas for cost of debt, cost of loan, I'm gone. My ability to be able to state the formula only for cost of debt on bond and cost of loan, the bond, is it a redeemable or irredeemable bond, right? Will tell, will even attract a mark only for me to state the bond. Let's say I have this 1 minus t, right? I think this is redeemable and irredeemable. Cost of this is what? The IRR, irredeemable. If I'm able to even state this, the whole formula, try to fix in figures and get what I have to obtain, I get 6 here. And my entries of the values, I get 6. Right. Now let's move on to the next. Let's see something. So the approach to the question is one way you can get it done. Here, assume the projects are divisible. Recommend a portfolio project. And I remember this question, he solved it with us during the intervention. So the intervention, you have to practice them because you don't have time to visit other past questions. And also, all the questions they solve, they are all past questions. All the questions are past questions. Only that sometimes they may not tell you the date or they will change the values, but they are all past. So trying to resolve their questions on your own, be able to solve it on your own, it means you are doing well. You don't even need to visit online and pick past questions where the examiner solutions are very, very confusing. Solving only what they've done is sufficient to enable you because they are all past questions. Intervention questions are also all past questions. So you have to solve all of them again. This one, he solved it in the intervention. He tried, I think he saw a similar one like this in the intervention, right? So assuming the projects are indivisible, so divisible and indivisible, recommend a portfolio of project that should be funded in the coming year. And the C is 5 marks. They took it from time value of money. Time value of money. Amortization. Suppose the bank grant the loan to Agbovi loan. Annual nominal interest rate is this. Compute the size of each monthly, it's compute the size of each monthly installment. So here it was amortization. So after that, you have to draw the table. Very good. So that is the whole concept. You should be able, now let me bring in with the format again. We should be able to study the format, study according to the format, because all the questions will emerge from that, the format. All the questions are emerging from the format. So by having a lot of detailed study on the format, right, we're able to go. Here, I think the person was talking about environmental, social, and governance issues. Where would that be? Yeah, is here. Corporate governance and social. They took the question from here, 5 marks. They took the question from the 5 marks. So if you're able to, in other words, this question may not even come the next. I mean, this diet. This question, no question will come from corporate governance and social because they've asked the question from there. So even if I were you, I'll not even pay attention to this. I'll take it out because if they asked it last night, then I'll concentrate on the remaining. Definitely it will come because the one they asked came from corporate governance was 5 marks, and we are good to go. We are good to go. And then now what they asked, they said what was the question for the 15 marks? There was a question on amortization, financing this. No, this one. This one they asked a question on what costs. Cost of capital. So they asked one on what? A loan. The debt here, it was in the two. They had a loan and the bonds, different calculation, right? And I think there was one on preference or equity of that. So they asked a question from here. Here. Cost of equity. Are you getting it? Okay. Now let's look at the next one. So we've done question 1 and question 2. And the remaining were all theories. They were asking some theoretical questions. The remaining were all theories. So our ability to have time and study the format. And the question 2 from the last year's question, there was a question on amortization, straight away from amortization. And I think there was one from where? Divisible and indivisible project. I've forgotten where it is, but it is in one of these, right? When a project is divisible and when it is indivisible, it is from one of the topics here.
Sensitivity analysis.
Sensitivity analysis.
Yeah, it's on top.
You said it's on sensitivity analysis. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Did you say it's from sensitivity analysis? Oh, okay. So let's say it's from here. They pick the question. So they pick the question from here and amortization, 20 marks. And this diet, they will not ask a question. If they pick it from, they may not ask a question on this. That doesn't mean I shouldn't study. I can study because they can actually a shade of the question. So all these calculations from here down, I have to be able to get them right. Amortization, they can ask on sinking fund. If they've had amortization, they can ask on sinking fund. So I'll just know them. I'll develop try to get it down. Here, they are all. So just pick what the examiner has solved with you and try to solve them. The same question, just repeat it, solve them, and you should be able to solve all on your own without referring to the examiner's, the lecturer's solution. That means that you understand the concept. If they drop any question from there, you should be able to do it. And it's formula work. If it's sensitivity analysis, formula work, you have to master some formulas. That is what you should do, right? If it's payback, it's a format work. Discounted payback is a format work. NPV is a format work. Accounting for a return is a formula. It has some formula in it, right? You have to find a way to get a formula. IRR is a formula work. So you have to write the formula against it and master the format. So these one, payback, discounted payback, NPV, they are all formats. But accounting rate of return, there are formulas in there. IRR is a formula work. Inflation and taxation, this one, they are used to inflate costs, and the taxation is also computed. Capital rationing, formula work, right? Formula work. Lease and versus buy decisions. This one, is a format. If it's a lease decision, what is the format? You begin with this, we go with the other one. If it's a buy decision, then you compare the lease and buy, their values, their MPVs. Then you conclude on which one should go, which one shouldn't go. Right? It's a format, it's not formula, it's format. So you have to master the format. Expected values is quite some formula and format, but there's no math from its format. Sensitivity, formula work. So you have to know what the formula is. Then we are good to go, right? Simple interest, compound interest, cash flow pattern, single annuity, series of uneven cash flows. They are all formats and some few formula. Compute present values and future values. It's quite okay. The only difficult parts here in this whole question two are these guys here: the capital rationing, lease and buy, asset replacement. These guys, they are quite difficult. And AR can be quite difficult if the data is a lot. But for the NPV too is a lot. Are you getting it? NPV is a lot. Hold on. Mame fro back why? Me ye meet to be a fro. Mate. All right. So that is all. And we should know your strength areas. So where we think we have a difficulty with, we will try to find a way to get it better. Are you good? Right. Let's move on to the next. So please, the format, I have formats from, since I started writing, I say I have formats for all the papers because when it's a month to exams, is the format I need. So that's where the areas, and I'll spend time reading and doing the calculation, and we will go and you'll be okay. I mean, you'll be okay, right? Question three. Let's see question three, the theories and calculations. Explain the role of organization's treasury management function. So all these guys here are theories. Explain the environment in which treasury management is practiced with particular reference to impact and organizational risk. All this theory. Categories of financial currency risk. These are theories. They are in the notes. So when you pick the S&D notes on financial management, treasury management, the theories, you are just searching for all the information, the bullet points to read on them. Impact of market volatility, bull and bear markets, theories. Awareness of the current financial dynamics, trends and issues, theories. Monitoring key financial market indices, theories. Practical lessons from recent financial market events, theories. These are, so this one, they could state something on it, or they can bring practical scenarios for analysis. So theories. Then you give your opinions on it. Let's look at the next one. Explain the method of international payment and decide which one is appropriate. So open account, theory, theory, theory. And then apply financial risk management techniques. So from here, the calculation will start from here. The types of foreign exchange risk. Here is theory. They are all theories. Apply internal hedging. This calculation. Invoicing local currency. Leading and lagging. These are all theories. But internal hedging techniques for foreign exchange risk. Right? So the application could be theoretical or computational. Apply external hedging techniques. Forward markets, computational, can be theory. Money markets, computational, theory. It was under this question they asked which ones are options. They said you state which ones are options and futures. It was coming from question 3. And they were theories. They didn't ask any question. So the entire question 3, they were all theories. They didn't ask any computational question. They said state which transaction above are futures and options. Are you good? And when I was solving that question, I forgot. So I was taking lottery with them. Options. I just read something, I write option. I write future. I just wrote whatever I want to because, and it was better for me. I think that mark was 5 marks. It was better for me to have written something, and if the examiner can give me 2 for writing nonsense there or writing something which was not sensible or which was senseless, than for me to skip and score 0 here. So I just had to write options, futures, options, futures. That's what I wrote for him. So even if I mark everything wrong, or everything was wrong, you can give me based on what I've done from the scratch, where I built, I solved my best first, solved my semi-best and others, and this last one or this somewhere third question which I'm answering, I didn't get it right. Based on what I've done, it can even give me 2 marks because when the scripts are being audited, they don't audit what the student wrote, they audit the marks given. So if someone, we are students studying together, we are writing a report together, when we go to this question where they were asking about the options and futures, someone left it blank. And for me, I wrote options, futures, options, futures. Meanwhile, maybe one was, they were 4. Out of the 4, only one was correct. If the examiner is to award marks, he will give me more marks than the person who left it blank because I wrote something. And I got even 1 out of 5 or the 4. But someone didn't write anything because he feels he doesn't know. Me, I'll never leave the exam or not writing something, even if I don't know. I'll write something down because he can give me, they can gift me marks, 2 marks, 1 mark, which can really, really be helpful. Are we okay? So that is one of the things. Then apply external hedging techniques for foreign exchange markets, forward contracts, and so they ask the question from here. Futures, no, this was futures and options. All right. Then currency and interest futures. The questions came from here. Yeah. And they were only theories. So of all the questions in question 15, there were theories, and these ones, they asked the questions from here. Theories. So what I'm trying to say in essence is there's no way the question set will be outside the areas they've given for each question. If you're able to read the question, solve the calculation part and the theories in addition, we can estimate that we can do better. But if we don't really, you pick the notes, we are reading the notes. No. It's like you are reading without any guidance or without any direction. Meanwhile, the format is the direction. And if we should practice it, we'll be okay. Now, let's go on to this part. Identify and discuss the impact theory. Identify and discuss. So all these are theories. The calculation part starts from the futures and those areas are the calculation. All the others are theories. Question 4, business valuation and measures. Describe the algorithm as it base, earnings base. So they asked a question here. There was earnings base. They said we should find a price earning ratio. That question was earnings base. And they asked a question on the dividend valuation. Based on market-based valuation, the dividend valuation. They asked a question here. Right? It was a question on P ratio and this. So they asked a question on the top one. And I think if there were theories will be accompanying this. Okay, yeah. Market based, earnings based, and asset based. Asset based is the net asset. When you find the net asset approach, earnings based is the PE ratio approach. Market based is the dividend approach, dividend growth, the PV, all the other types. So there is no way the questions will be outside here. So I will try to use this question, and I'll show you how I will approach the question. Right? Question 4. All these are theories. PEFA, 5 marks. All these are theories. Okay. Except the scoring. Okay, the scoring. Scope, and where's the scoring? Okay, the scoring of PEFA is, even that one, it's not any serious calculation. It's just some few, put it here, put it there, take this out. Okay. Then question 5 comes in. Explain and apply working capital management. This also has some few theories in the theories and computation. I agree. And we have to solve the same questions the lecturer has solved on our own. You're able to solve the same question and obtain exactly or closer to exactly the solution of the examiner. It means we are okay. We are okay. Because by the time you solve 3-4 questions, you will see different shades of the question. In exams, your approach is the approach. Trying to score to obtain the actual or the accurate answer is a difficulty. That is why the final answers are not much, but rather the steps and whatever entry you're able to make. All right. So now we are done with the format. Let me go bring, what's the name? Okay, somebody has shared the PSA. I have class with them, so moment. Okay. So let's see. So look at how I'll approach this question. Or let me start from here so that you can see get a picture. Here, I'm solving the C. Suppose the bank grant the loan to Agbavi Solutions at an annual nominal rate of 25% and requires payment of the loan with the interest in monthly equal installments over 5 years. Compute the size of each monthly installment. So here, this question is never related to the top. Okay, it's related. It's Agbavi. Okay, so it's related. So, but I know it's amortization here. The first thing I will do, all right, the first thing I'll write on my question paper is I'll write the formula for amortization. So amortization equals what? The P equals the cash flow times annuity factor, which is 1 minus 1 plus R exponent to negative N all over R. I'll write this down. So assuming I've solved the A, and I remember when I was solving this question, I solved the C first. Then question 2C, I solved the C first because of all these ones, they were going to, take my time. So I started with the C first. And the first thing I will do if I'm approaching the question, I'll solve the C first. And I'll write the amortization formula down. This is the formula. If it's a sinking fund formula is this. Also, the P equals C times the compounding factor is 1 plus R exponent N minus 1 all over R. This is the sinking fund factor. This is amortization formula. What is the difference? Very simple. Sinking fund talks about future value. Amortization talks about present value. Every present value goes with discount factor. Every future value goes with compounding factor. So they all have the principal values first, the actual money first, and they all have a C. The C's talk about the installments or the annual payments. Then right into the brackets, the amortization has the C multiplied by the annuity factor. And the annuity factor has the present value, which is the annuity factor has the discount factor, which is the exponent negative N, which discount factor goes in line with present value. And they are all divided by R. The only difference between the amortization and sinking fund is that the amortization has 1 minus the discount factor. The sinking fund has compounding factor minus 1. So the compounding factor is 1 plus R exponent N. Then when I put a negative at the top, it becomes a discount factor. That's the only difference. So the first thing I will do is to write the formula for amortization down. Then, after writing it down, I go to the case study and I start searching for the values. Definitely, he wants the monthly installment or annual installment or whichever one they want. Definitely, the question will ask me to solve for C. And if the question asks me to solve for C, I'm not to end there. I am to show the structure of payment, which is the amortization is what? the structured payments of the loan or the structured liquidation of the loan. So definitely, I know the question will ask me to solve for the C. So it will give me for P. The question will give me for R. The question will give me the R rate. The question will give me the N, which is the 5 years. And the nominal interest rate is about 25. So let's assume I'm going to use 25%. So I have the R to be 25%. I have the N to be 5. Now I'm going to search for my P. I'll go to the case study and search for my P. And I plug them into the formula. Then I'll solve for my C. Then I'll draw my amortization table. I'm done. 5 marks. I can score all the 5 or the 4. Why? Because the financial management is a formula-based work and format. So after using the formula, the next one is to draw the formula for the amortization, which is also very simple. So if I'm to draw the format, very, very simple. We can go like this. The year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the opening balance, right? The installment payments, the interest, the installment payments, and the Ghana city, right? And the loan amount, if it is 5,000 or 10 million, I come and write it here, 10 million here. First, I'm working with time. Then the opening balance, sorry. For amortization, the loan balance at the end, the closing loan balance should be 0 here for amortization. The opening balance is the P. So the P, well, I'll come and write it here. The installment payment, which is here, is the C. So here, C. Then I'll find the interest, 12% on this. I'll write it here. And the installment payments are all payments. So I'll put all of them in brackets. So even before I start with the table, I've put in very key areas, the common ones or easier ones. Find the interest on the P, then I'll add it to this, subtract this from this, I'll write a figure. It becomes here. It's how you approach the question. That's all. It's how you are. So there's no way I can score 3 of all this work. I will score 3 over 5. I'll score about 4 or score the 5 over 5. Are we okay? Are we okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do is how you approach it. Because it's very, very relevant. Very, very relevant. All the questions, they all theories. Let's go to question 4. So question 4, I'm reading the requirement again. Estimate the value of that farmer using what? Price earnings ratio, 3 marks. So immediately I read price earning ratio, it's a formula work. The formula, write it, PE equals, P is price. How do we get the price? Market price per share. Over price earnings, price over earnings. Over earnings, what do I get for the earnings? Earnings price per share. And instead I should find the value. The value is the market price. So just make market price the subject. In other words, market price per share equals price earnings ratio times earnings per share. So because it's price earnings ratio, to multiply the earnings per share. This is the formula. I'll write this down. So I could have gone straight away to write this formula down. Or I'll first write the price earning ratios down and then find the values to fix in and make MPS the subject to get what is up there. Then fix in the values. Whichever way. So what I'm trying to state is find the market value. So market value equals price earnings ratio. So price times earnings times earnings. Because it's earning with earnings, it will multiply the earnings per share. So when I go to the data, if it's a listed company, fine. If it's not a listed company, I'm going to use the PE of the listed company, right? Reduce it by a certain percentage, the risk factor, multiply by the earnings per share. If there is no earnings per share, I have to go and find earnings per share. What is earnings per share? Total earnings, which is profit after tax, minus irredeemable preference dividend, all over the shares per earnings per share means earnings over shares. So number of shares. It's formula work. You get the formula right, you know where to pick the values and plug them into the formula, you are good to go. Guys, are we okay? Hello, are we okay?
Yes, please.
So that's it. Please, that's it. If you can print the format from it, print it. I always print mine so that I can be writing on it and marking those I study to guess or to monitor my progress. Okay. And that's so if you're able to do this, please. It's 50 marks we need. I was told someone scored 85. The person did very well. Maybe this person has an accounting background or something, and that's all. So he did well. 85 meaning he scored only 15 wrong, right? That person really did well. I didn't score 85. I scored 72, right? And I've told you my approach. Even formula alone, you get a mark. Formula, just write formula and go. You get a mark. So it's up to you to get the formulas right and be able to know where. So just go back and look at how the lecturer solved it. But first, don't forget, read the requirements, write your formula down, look at the way the lecturer solved and solve it. Solve it to the extent that you can solve the same question on your own. And from the format, you can easily guess your what's the name? You can easily be able to determine your good performing areas and your bad performing areas, right? You can easily get your good performing areas and bad performing areas. Sometimes after writing the paper, even like before I write the paper, I can estimate that I'm aiming to get 60 from my computation. Question 1A, I'll get like 3 out of 5 marks. The B is 15 marks. I can get 9 over 15, right? 9. So 3 over 9. And after everything for all the rest, I can say I'll have 60. Meanwhile, after I finish writing the paper and I look at the way the question went, the way I answer the question, I'll tell myself, okay, now truly I will still go with the 60 marks. I will assume 40 mistakes or I'll have wrong 40% wrong marks. But between 50 and 60, I should be able to pass. So when it comes and it's more than 60, that's fine. When it comes and it's below the 60, but it's between my range, that was my target. Are you getting it? Because I know how I've read, studied, practiced the solutions, and I could tell my confidence and competence to answer the question and the outcome thereof, which is the marks I estimated. Okay. Is there anything you want us to say so that we end our class? I've recorded a session, I'll post it. So be able to write down question one is on financing decisions, right? Let's say question 1A is on this. Question 1B is on financing decisions. Question 2A is on what? The investment appraisal techniques. That's the whole question 2. Question 3 is about whatever. Then question 4 is on business valuation and mergers and acquisition. Then question 5, I think question 3 is on question 5 is on working capital management, whichever one. And these are all 2020. Some are 15 and this. You ask yourself, so of all these, how do I estimate what is my performance? If you're able to analyze or rate your performance here, if it is above 50, then it means that you can be able to attempt the paper and you'll be okay. But upon all these and you realize, I can't answer that, I can't answer, then you are scoring yourself now. You are scoring yourself 30 or 40, then it means that you are not ready for the paper. And I've showed you, if you want to be ready for the paper, it is the format, which is the guide. So you're able to score yourself below 50 from just analyzing the areas the questions are emerging from and the content thereof, the computation alongside theories, and you're underrating yourself below 50. It means when you go and write the paper, you still fail. But if you're able to rate yourself, let's say 55, my aim is I'll get 55. It means you're on course. The implication is that you're on course, you can do better. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
The last one. Now look at this question. Calculate the current cost of equity. Just look at the way I'll put the question on. Calculate it. I'll not read all these first. I'll come and read it. Calculate the current cost of equity. Cost of equity. 3 things come to my mind. Is it a dividend model? I've not even read what is here. Is it a dividend growth model? Is it the CAPM? Is that it? Is this just which one are they talking about? So let's look at what it says. Calculate the current cost of equity and using this cost of equity rate, estimate the value of the company using the dividend valuation model. Meaning, this dividend valuation model, it could be these two, one of these two. But it says I should first calculate the cost of equity. Then I should use the cost of equity to find a dividend valuation model. Okay. So then, right, and the dividend valuation model formula is PO equals what? DO 1 plus G all over KE minus G. Because so when I calculate the cost of equity, I'll come and fix it in here. and I'll find the market value using the dividend valuation model. So these three, which one of them am I going to use or which formula am I going to use to find the cost of equity? I'll write from my question paper. I go to the case study. Let's see. All these are theories. These are theories. So let's see here. The companies have estimated that earnings and dividends yield will increase year 3, right? That's farmer capital structure is based on market comprised of 70% equity, 25% debt. So here it's not really, not okay. The companies before tax of debt is what 5%, and its equity beta is what 1.6. So immediately I've seen beta, is ringing a bell. It's ringing a bell that it should go with the CAPM because in CAPM there's a beta in CAPM. But let's see. Following this proposed, that's why capital structure will shift to 60%. This will cause the before tax, okay, and debt to rise to the equity beta to increase to 2 due to higher financial risk. The risk free. So I've seen beta here, I've seen equity beta here. So which one of them? Okay, let's continue. The risk free rate of return. You see, it's giving me variables or elements of the CAPM. So of all these three formulas, it is the third one I'm going to use. If I hadn't read the requirement to first determine which one I'm going to use, and I should have gone through the question 4, I will be reading, and before I get, I don't even know what I'm getting, but or I'm going to arrive at. However, because I'm expecting either because they said cost of capital, and I'm in anticipation of either a CAPM or the first one, I'm searching for the variables which will give me the values because the formula work. So the risk-free rate of return is 4%, CAPM, and the market risk premium is 5%. In order to simulate economic activity, the government has reduced profit after tax for all listed companies to what? 20% per year. So it means I'm going to use CAPM. Immediately, I'll write the CAPM formula. So using CAPM, cost of equity equals what? Risk-free plus what? Beta into brackets, market risk premium. And I'll just fix in the values, right? Risk-free rate of return is risk-free rate of return is what? 4%. I'll put in my 4%, right? My equity beta, I'll fix it in risk, market risk, and I'll get my KE. Then when I get a KE, I'll come and solve this one, which they want me to solve. Guys, are we okay?
Yes, please, you're okay.
So please go by this and it will be okay. If you do your own analysis, self-analysis, introspection of what you were expecting to get, and you realize you are falling below 50, it means you may reset the paper, right? But if you go by the format which we have discussed and the kind of approach I'm trying to introduce, add it to what you know, add it to what someone has told you, add it to what the lecturer has told you, and you go formula alone, you can get a tick like 1 mark for a formula or 0.5 for a formula. Only just a formula, I can get 1 mark. Then the other computations, put in the value, you put in the values and get a wrong answer. Just putting in the values, replacing the variables with the values, they go with some ticks. Then if your final answer is correct, you get the full 3 marks. But if your final answer is not correct, you can get 2 marks out of 3. That's how we are going to go with it. Okay, so if there's nothing to say or add, I want to end the session. I have another class with some people. To talk about similar thing.
Okay.
Are we okay?
Yeah,
So all the
I appreciate it.
bye. Bye.